Well, thank you again. Beautiful song. And we are talking all about gratitude this month, aren't we? In preparation for Thanksgiving and being grateful in general. And our November series is Joy in Thanksgiving. And we're talking about the benefits of the sacred practice of gratitude. And my talk today is finding joy in unexpected places. Finding joy in unexpected places. And where's your happiness hiding? Where is your happiness hiding? Have you ever felt like the universe was withholding the good from you? Maybe even just in a moment. Maybe just in a day or two. Sometimes a year. Sometimes a year it feels like that. Our founder of the Centers for Spiritual Living and the author of The Science of Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes, defines happiness as a state of well-being or enjoyment of good of any kind. It's pleasurable satisfaction attendant upon welfare of any kind, which means the consequences of some good of any kind. So happiness is a consequence of good. Joy, he says, is a state of inner peace. It's a consciousness of the goodness of God and the beneficent or charitable attitude of the universe, that givingness of the universe, a realization that joy is available to everyone. Well, I kind of agree with those definitions, that happiness is really its idea of a mood or a response to something positive that's happened in our life. Whereas, we sometimes, even in our language, we say, that makes me happy. That makes me happy, right? And we don't really usually say that about joy. So the phraseology of our language even anchors this idea of happiness being caused by something external to us. Happiness can also be shallow, and it can be temporary in nature. Because by its very nature, if something outside of ourselves makes us happy, by its going away, we can be unhappy, right? So by its very nature. Joy, as Holmes says, is that inner state of peace and consciousness of the goodness of God. There's not a futurized expectation of that. I will be so joyful when that comes. We just don't have that in our language, really. You don't hear that very often. And it's because, again, it is that current in the now present idea of joy being right here now present. It's a state of being, an inner state of being. So a way to experience joy is to be present in the moment. Is to be present in the moment. And we had a wonderful discussion in our Wednesday night book group, The Happiness Prescription by Deepak Chopra. That was one of our topics this week, was being present. And the conversation was very interesting for us to expand that and go a little bit deeper with it. Deepak says that if we focus on the present, our life will be constantly renewed. If we focus on the present, our life will be constantly renewed. He says that the now is ever renewing, and it is timeless because time cannot stop it. Now, if you can follow that, it's pretty interesting because it's not in the past, it's not in the future, it's right now, and right now, and right now. So there's no time involved in it whatsoever. So it is a timeless sort of state and condition. Ernest Holmes says in The Science of Mind that we live in the instantaneous now and the ever-present here. Instantaneous now. And that the ultimate reality is here now if we could but see it. If we could but see it. We're already living in the now, is what he's telling us in The Science of Mind. We're already living in this now moment. It's that we let our minds sometimes wander around, don't we? And it means paying attention and being aware in each and every moment. Unfortunately, sometimes we need something to jolt us out of our autopilot, don't we? Anybody ever been driving? Had that experience? Driving around and go, whoo, how'd I get here? Is this me? It's not me. It's not me. We're good. We're good. But had that event happen where you go, how did I get here? And we have this part of us, call it subconscious, whatever, that allows us to do many things at once. And one of those things sometimes is driving, isn't it? Because we'll be thinking about something else, something in the future, something, reliving something that's happened, planning something. And then all of a sudden, the car in front of us stops. The light changes quickly. Someone pulls out in front of us. And we're back fully present and aware. There's something in us that knows this is important. I need to pay attention now and get off of autopilot. I need to pay attention. Well, that same type of event happens in our life in general. Because sometimes don't we go along just kind of doing the same old thing, a little bit of that autopilot in the way our life is experienced. We get up, we have the same breakfast, we drive the same route to work, we spend our days at work, we come home. We kind of have that sometimes. And sometimes we get jolted by things that happen in our life, things that occur. I have a friend in California that has been experiencing breast cancer. And this has been a powerful experience for me to be with her and witness with her the now moment. Because when we were first talking about this experience, I was expecting to hear the scary tales and the fear and the frustration and the anger and the disappointment and the why me and all of those sorts of things. And I didn't. What I got was humor, laughter, joy, and being present in the moment. Sharing my friend's experience, and again, expecting those scary stories, expecting that fear and frustration and so forth, and not getting that from her, getting her joy, finding the humor as she walks through the processes and walks through the appointments and the funny things that happen along the way. And how she's being present in the moment, focused on each and every moment, every step on that path that she's taking, to be fully aware of what's happening. She doesn't know how her journey on this path may be cut short. So she's not looking at the destination. She's not looking down the road, are we there yet, are we there yet? She's looking at what's on the path today. Every bug, every rock on the path, what's there? And how can I experience it in the present, be present with it, be here now, and appreciate each and every moment? So what a blessing this has been to me, to be able to share this with her, to witness through her eyes and her experience the power of now, the power of being fully engaged and present in her life through this process. What a blessing it has been for me to share that with her. So doing what is necessary to be present in the now for us to actively be aware. And also then to find the joy in each and every step of our journeys. Every day, find the joy in each and every step, rather than, as I say, looking down that path and going, are we there yet? We've all heard that from our kids, right? Are we there yet? Probably said it sometimes. Instead of enjoying the journey. So it's these are powerful tools that we have available to us for finding our unexpected joy. For finding our unexpected joy. Our third tool is gratitude. Kathy sang about that this morning. It's what we're talking about all month. And that tool is also very powerful. Have you noticed, for those that are completing your gratitude journals, have you noticed how there's this thing called joy that begins to bubble up? I have. As I sit down in the evenings to begin to list those 10 things that I'm grateful for this day and reflect on the day, I notice that there's joy within me that just bubbles up around those experiences, around what it is that is there. As I started the process, I don't know if you had this experience, you sit down and you have 10 things to be grateful for. And, the first few days it might be a little difficult because we're not focused on it. I wasn't focused on it, maybe. And then as I've gone through these 20 plus days that we've done, it becomes easier and I find more because we learned last month that what we focus on expands, right, in our abundance series. And so what I'm focusing on this idea of gratitude and knowing I have to come up with 10 things tonight, then I'm more focused during the day to find those. So over our 40 days of 10 things, that's 400 things, right? If I do my math right. But I'm betting that you, if you're doing this like I am, that's multiplying. It's not just 400 things. Maybe it's 500 or 7 or 8 or 4,000 things to be grateful for, right? Because our brain is now getting rewired and reprogrammed to know, oh, this gratitude stuff's important. Let me find more things to be grateful for. Our brain's getting rewired right now, which is kind of cool. If you're not participating, if you were not able to start the 40 days with us, we have these available still for you. Start now. Any 40 days will work. And many of you I know started it last year and have been continuing. I invite you to do so. It is a very, very powerful process. We're on the back table back there for you. So this is a way of finding those unexpected areas of joy. And I had a couple of those come up this week that I just want to share with you on how it's working in my life. And one of which is I was at a real estate industry event this week, and I discovered joy there. I was delighted. This is an event that I have not gone to in the past. I just didn't like the title of it and what I thought it was going to be. How about that? I was prejudging. So for 3 years, I wouldn't go to this thing. It's called Shark Tank. Okay? Yeah. So I didn't want to go. But this year, there was a big, long list of people attending and so forth. And I thought, well, I'm going to go. I want to check this out. And I did. And I was delighted by the event, the speakers, the content. It was beautifully done and very rewarding to be there. Plus, I ran into a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a very long time. I was able to reconnect with them. So I was grateful for that experience and the joy that I felt in those connections and making those reconnections that I hadn't seen those folks in a long time. So there was delight in that unexpected joy. At the same meeting, remember my bank building that I was redoing, the historic building last year? We finally finished it. And the tenant improvements are almost finished, and the tenant will be moving in the first part of December. Now, I've had lots of conversations and email exchanges with the tenants and architectural group, but I've never met them face to face. They came up to me at this meeting, introduced themselves, and were bubbling over with joy and enthusiasm for their new corporate headquarters and moving in. They were so excited. So I got to share in that and be grateful for them and that experience and the joy around that. Again, unexpected. Wasn't expecting to meet them. So I had that unexpected joy and happiness. And then finally, last week, I guess 2 weeks ago, I saw that the Carefree Art Festival was coming up. And for years I had gone to that, but I haven't been for the last couple of years. And I just decided I'd like to go. But Sunday afternoons, I have to admit, sometimes I'm tired. And I just want to veg out and stay at home. And I thought, well, maybe I'll go by myself. And then I thought I probably won't do that. On Thursday, I got a phone call from a friend who's been doing the same thing I've been doing all summer, which is moving and downsizing. So we've been going through a lot of the same type of stuff, but we hadn't seen each other. And he said, hey, I've got to get out of the house. Let's go to the art festival. So we did, and it was wonderful. The weather was perfect. The art was beautiful. The company was lovely. So I was delighted and grateful for the opportunity to attend that event, catch up with an old friend, and then just the joy that I felt at the end of the day that continued with me during the week for that experience. So those are some of the ways that gratitude and joy are manifesting in my life through this process. So by focusing on my gratitude for the events of each and every day, I'm feeling that joy, that inner sense of peace with what happens in my everyday life. And that's really what it's about, isn't it? I'm always fascinated when people say that they are reincarnated as some king or prince or, great leader. It's like, well, what about all of us regular folks, We can't all be kings and queens, right? So it's the everyday experiences where we find this sacred. It's the everyday moments. And the sacred practice of gratitude, I have found, for me anyway, is a trigger for joy. It's a trigger for joy. And like we said last week, gratitude is the key element in moving our consciousness to a state of joy and receptivity. So gratitude paves the way for that. I was talking with a lady on Friday night who said, oh yes, my mother was just visiting and she hit every hot button I have. I know she didn't install them, I did. She hit them, she found every one of them. And I was reminded of this talk and wow, yeah, we have hot buttons, don't we? And sometimes people push them. But what if we had triggers for joy and let people push those? Encourage them to push those, right? Triggers for joy. Wouldn't we be more beneficial on our planet if we could discover those? Yeah. So what might be yours? What might be things that trigger joy in you? Do you have something specific that is in your life or that you use in your life for gratitude that leads to joy, that inner stage? Do you have some things? I've got a couple. For me, I've just been thinking about this. For me, one is my cat, Sophia. Yeah, what a love bug. It was love at first sight as soon as I saw her. But what I have come to realize that is the givingness of love to her, that unconditional love to her with absolutely no expectation whatsoever. That has been fascinating for the gratitude and joy that I experience with her. And even when she passes, the fact that I have been able to, the joy will remain through the givingness of the love that has been there. That is the beauty of it. And then the other actually made me laugh when I realized this. It's putting on my makeup in the mornings. Isn't that funny? I realize that it's a time in my day when I'm very mindful. It takes a lot of work to paint this face. I'm very mindful of what I'm doing. I'm very present in the moment. So I'm in that timeless state that Deepak Chopra talked about. And I'm very focused on what I'm doing. And I've discovered that if I pay attention to that, I'm joyful, that I feel good. So it's really an interesting thing. It just bubbles up inside me, that being present to an activity. So think about what triggers your joy. Think about what triggers your joy and cultivate those. If it's little things or big things, it doesn't matter. Just think about what it is, because we know what we focus on expands. And allow those triggers to build a platform of joy within you. To build a platform of joy within you. Remember last week we talked about Dr. Ken, the president of Centers for Spiritual Living, saying in this month's issue of Science of Mind that we can't be happy and grateful at the same time. Anybody try that? Anybody try to be unhappy and grateful? Sorry, I missed that. Unhappy. Unhappy. See, I kind of didn't think about being unhappy, right? Unhappy and grateful at the same time. Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. So use your gratitude triggers to trigger joy in your life. Use your gratitude triggers. So how can we use our principles to uncover joy in unexpected ways in our life? Well, I have some suggestions, as you might imagine, in our practicing the principles this week. Number one, you heard this before. Look for the joy, look for the good and praise it. Look for the good and praise it. Notice when you feel joyful, is it folding the laundry? Is it rocking a grandchild? Is it observing one of our beautiful Arizona sunsets? What is it that brings you joy, that brings you good, that brings you gratitude? That you can find it and then praise it, right? Praise it, speak it, write it, feel it, breathe into it, acknowledge the gratitude. And then what begins to happen? We're programming our brain again, aren't we? We're telling it, this is important to me, to see things that I can praise and express gratitude for. So our mind begins to go, oh, you need more of that. And it will bring it to us. It will help us to see that. Number 2, be aware. Take a 1-minute awareness break. Remember the 1, 2, 3, 4, what am I grateful for? We set our alarms on our phones, and at 12:34 every day those would go off, and we would pause and bring to mind that which we're grateful for. Many of us are still doing that process. And this is another process for you to take a 1-minute awareness break. Set an alarm if you need to, but take 60 seconds and focus either on what is around you in your immediate surroundings, what's going on in your body in that moment. Step outside, feel the breeze, feel the sunshine, listen to the birds. But spend 60 seconds focused in high focus and awareness. And if you slip, it's only 60 seconds, right? But guess what? We're not used to being focused. We're used to our minds going everywhere, aren't we? So focus for 60 seconds. And if you slip, just bring it back. Just bring it back. Now, if I was Edwin Gaines, I would tell you, bring it back and start over until you get it. That's how she teaches us. But just bring your focus back. So take that 1 minute of awareness and practice constantly renewing your life in the instantaneous now and the ever-present here. Number 3, learn to love each step of the journey. Learn to love each step of the journey. Being aware is a great tool for learning to enjoy life's journey and relax about the destination. One of the absolute best trainings I ever had in a former relationship, I was the backseat driver of a Harley Davidson. Now, I knew I did not want to be the captain of that ship. I was on the back. I enjoyed that much more. But it taught me a couple of things. One, to be aware, because you are one in nature and all that is happening around you in each and every moment. It brings you fully present to be on the back or the front of a motorcycle because you're in the environment. There's nothing around you. So you're much more aware than if you're driving in a car. And number 2, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. I realized that I didn't know anything about driving that motorcycle, so I had to just sit still and behave, so to speak. And I couldn't give much direction because it was kind of loud and noisy, so I had to kind of be quiet. And my normal travel is, okay, we've got 4 hours to go. Let's get in the car and go, and we'll make one stop, and we'll stop for 12 minutes, and I'll pump gas, and you go to the restroom, and then I'll switch, and right? Get there! It's not that way on a motorcycle. On a motorcycle, it's got a very tiny tank. About 150 miles, you have to stop because you're out of gas. And your keister's also a little numb by that point, so you need to walk around for a while. So it's going to be 15 minutes to an hour and a half to take a break. Take a break. So it taught me to slow down and appreciate the journey. And I often think about appreciating every line on the road as we were driving. And appreciating as we drove through the communities, someone's doing laundry. I can smell their fabric softener. Someone is barbecuing. I can smell the smoke. Or they've got a wood fire in their home. Oh, you just went by a farm. Whatever it might be, fully present in the moment. So it was a wonderful training exercise for this idea of learning to enjoy the journey. Learning to enjoy the journey in every step of it. Great, our lives are made up of the moments and not the years. If you think back, you remember moments, don't you? You don't remember years. You remember the moments that make those up. Greg Anderson says, joy is found not in finishing an activity, but in doing it. I was reminded of this the other night at an event where a lady was selling jewelry. And she had some beautiful pieces, and in talking with her, she said that she started making jewelry after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And she said, I needed something to focus my mind and my hands and my attention on. And she makes beautiful jewelry, and it's not expensive at all, so it's not about some big money-making thing for her. It's about dealing with, living with her diagnosis, and using her mind and using her hands to create beauty. So it's not in the finishing of it. You know, it's like a meal. Finishing a meal is doing the dishes, right? That's no fun. So it's not the finishing of it. It's the journey of it. It's the journey of it. So finally, our spiritual practices this week are your gratitude journal and your 1 minute awareness break. Your 1 minute awareness break. So I think the practice of gratitude is very, very important for us as we continue to hold the high watch and do our work as faith keepers and as light bearers in the world today. Ernest Holmes tells us in The Science of Mind that now is the time, this is the place, and we are the people. We are the people. Being aware of your thoughts and your activities and asking ourselves, are they contributing to the uplifting of the consciousness of our planet, or are they tearing it down? Are they tearing it down? I choose to practice gratitude. I choose to demonstrate the unity that I believe in and to be the light in the world when it sometimes seems that the light is a little dim. It's up to us to be that light. I invite you to join me in the practice of holding the high watch for unity and for peace on our planet. I invite you to join me in that. I will close today with a quote by an 18th century poet, J. Pettit Sen, and he says, "Happiness is where we find it, but it is rarely where we seek it." So please join me in prayer, an affirmative prayer, as we go within this morning, in recognition that there is only one. There's one life, one mind, and that is the life and the mind of God. God is the only power and presence in the universe. It is in, through, and as all that is. It is fully present everywhere. There is no spot that God is not. It is infinite intelligence and wisdom and love. It is joy. It is that God quality of joy. It is unity, and it is peace, and it is wholeness. And I know that I am that which it is in form and is an expression of it, individualized and unique. As I know that for myself, I know that truth for each and every one in this room and each and every one in the sound of my voice. For I know that we are united in that wholeness and that oneness, that unity and that peace. So I speak my word this day in honor of all of the veterans of our military who have ever served in supporting our freedoms and our Constitution, honoring their service to our country. I also speak a word of gratitude for all of those who show up in our community on a regular basis, all of those who are light bearers in the world, all of those who join me in holding this high watch for our planet, our community, and our world, our country, our cities, and our states. And I am just very grateful this day, filled with thanksgiving for everyone that steps forward and says yes. It says yes. So it is with great gratitude that I receive this prayer, its manifestation, knowing that it's already done in the mind of spirit, knowing that the words that I speak are words that come through as spirit. I just release this as I place them into the law, knowing that it's done, accepting that it's already so, that it's already made manifest. We're just waiting for the form. So we anchor this together by affirming. And so it is.